Hey, welcome back. Fukuoka is one of those cities where shrines, ramen streets, and sea air all show up before you have time to overthink it. Do it well, and you get Hakata's old pulse, a cleaner read on the coast, and fewer meals wasted on whatever looked convenient 5 minutes ago. I already mapped the whole trip into a template, so if you want it, the link's in the description. Autumn really suits Fukuoka, easy walking by day, crisp evenings for Yatai, and enough variety that 3 days never feel stuck on one note. First up, Hakata gives you old ritual, covered street snacking, and a canal-side mall that is trying very hard to have a personality. Kushida Shrine is a compact shrine in the old Hakata-area, and it matters because it gives the city an actual face, not just a transport network. Locals treat it as Hakata's guardian shrine, so even a short visit starts explaining why this part of Fukuoka feels proud of itself. The thing to notice is the giant Yamakasa float. Suddenly the place feels less hushed sanctuary, more neighborhood headquarters with excellent taste and drama. Go in the afternoon because it fits naturally between fruit stops and keep expectations on context rather than sheer size. A few steps later, Kawabata Shopping Arcade is the old covered street where everyday errands, souvenirs, and snack decisions all live under one roof. It helps first-timers read Hakata at walking speed, because parts of it feel ordinary in a way polished retail districts usually work very hard to avoid. What sticks is the rhythm, fluorescent light, shop signs, food smells, and that comforting sense you only meant to browse for 5 minutes. I would graze rather than commit heavily here, unless you enjoy the classic travel plot of accidentally turning one sweet into lunch. Then, Canal City Hakata shows the polished side of Fukuoka, a big shopping and dining complex built around a canal and fountain shows. It is not old Hakata, obviously, but that contrast is useful because this city does convenience unusually well. Inside, you get echoing atriums, bright signs, food smells, and that slightly unreal feeling of walking through an indoor version of a city. Mid-afternoon works best here if you want the reset without the thicker dinner crowds, especially when your legs start negotiating terms. Day 2 opens the city up, water, ruins, then a beach where Fukuoka somehow manages to look urban and relaxed at the same time. Ohori Park is the big central lake park, and for a first-timer, it is the proof that Fukuoka can go quiet almost without warning. The lake sits on what used to be the castle moat, so the calm scenery has slightly sneaky military origins underneath all the joggers. What I like here is the scale. Bridges, reflections, wind off the water, and enough open space to reset your appetite properly. Morning lands best because the park feels more atmospheric than exercise focused, and one full loop is usually enough unless you have become a lake person overnight. Right nearby, Fukuoka Castle ruins give you the city's feudal backstory without pretending there is a perfect postcard castle waiting at the top. This was the Kuroda clan's seat in the early Edo period, and now it is mostly stone walls, broad paths, and viewpoints. That is honestly the appeal. Imagination does more work than architecture, which is much better than being sold a castle and handed very meaningful stone. It fits after Ohori because the moat suddenly makes sense, and late afternoon light tends to flatter the open ground and views. Momochi Side Park is Fukuoka's quick coastal mood shift, an urban beach where sand, skyline, and bay air all share the frame. It is an artificial beach, so do not expect wild coastline drama. This is the city staging seaside life in a very orderly way. Still, the salt air and wide bay views are exactly the point, especially when you have spent most of the day in parks and stone ruins. Towards sunset is the sweet spot, and a light jacket helps because the breeze can feel sharper here than back in the center. The last day shifts out of central Fukuoka for a shrine town detour, then sneaks in a much quieter temple once the main crowds have had their moment. Hakata Station is not a sightseeing stop in the romantic sense, but it is the machine that makes a Dazaifu side trip feel easy. For first-timers, it helps to think of it as Kyushu's front door. Trains, food, shopping, and a lot of confident people moving with purpose. You notice the bakery smells, rolling suitcases, and the very specific pressure of a big Japanese station that rewards decisiveness and punishes daydreaming. Go earlier because the station is simpler before the thicker rush builds, and sort breakfast before platform brain fully kicks in. Dazaifu Tenmangu is a major shrine dedicated to learning, and it feels more ceremonial than central Fukuoka almost immediately. The approach street is part of the experience. Snack shops, people arriving with purpose, then bridges, stone paths, and prayer smoke once you enter. It earns the trip because the scale and ritual are bigger than what the city center hints at, even if the place can get quite busy. Morning is the better window here when the approach is easier to enjoy before more day trippers and snack strategists flood the scene. Komyozen-ji is the quieter counterpoint nearby, a small Zen temple where the gardens do most of the talking. After Dazaifu Tenmangu, the contrast is the whole point. Moss, gravel, filtered light, and a hush that feels almost suspiciously efficient. It is not a blockbuster site, but that subtlety is why it works. The Dazaifu stops being only crowds and souvenir appetite. I like it after the shrine because you feel the calm more clearly, and clean socks are not a ridiculous idea if shoes come off. What makes Fukuoka stick is how casually it shifts moods, shrine, arcade, lake, beach, side trip ritual, while still keeping dinner as the main event. If you want the pre-built route template with the map view ready to tweak, it's in the description and pinned comment. Let me know which stop would make your cut first, or which Fukuoka meal you would happily plan the whole trip around.